It's puck time. I'm the Prez. Second last day of January. We got the two kids with us, Andrew McInnis and Alex B. Smith, both found at sportsmemo.com every day, all year round. Before we get into it, before I even ask you guys how you're doing, a quick apologies to everybody for not having a puck time on Monday and Tuesday. I was in New York over the weekend for some business meetings. Monday was a travel day. Went to the airport, couldn't do the show, and all the planes were canceled. Ended up being sent back into New York. Had to stay at a hotel. Turned it into a great night, though. And then Tuesday again. That became the Monday travel day. Got to the airport, 5-hour delay. Wow. Finally got back to Toronto. And there was so much snow in Toronto, I had parked the car at Park and Fly, and all the cars were covered. They couldn't figure out whose car was who. Took 2 hours to get my car. I've basically been traveling for 2 days. That's the story. How are you, Alex?
Wow, that's crazy. I'm doing all right. I'm surviving the snowpocalypse, currently living in the coldest place on Earth right now in St. Paul, Minnesota. Our temperatures and wind chill are actually colder than Antarctica and the North Pole. So there's ice inside of my apartment on one of the windows. It is just insanity. But other than that, doing well. Just ready to watch some hockey. Got the short week and everybody's getting back from the long breaks and the All-Star break, and so just a good time. Like I said, getting ready for Super Bowl as well. So fun times as far as sports goes.
Andrew, what's going on in Halifax? Freezing your butt off?
Yeah, not as bad as Alex, apparently. We're doing pretty good over here. A little bit of snow this morning, but other than that, pretty good. And you know what, Prez, it was I'm happy you're home and were able to make it, but it was nice yesterday that it was Alex's idea. We did a really nice podcast with Drew Martin from Sports Memo, and that was awesome. It went really well, I thought. Really smooth sailing and got some good reviews on it. So one door closes, another one opens, and then here we are back on puck time. So looking forward to talking about today's show, and 2 games, but lots to talk about.
Okay, well, let's get to it, boys. Alex, we'll start with you. Tampa Bay in Pittsburgh. Look, if the Leafs or Boston has anything to do about it, these two won't meet in the semifinals, but it's not out of the realm of possibility, especially with Pittsburgh putting some wins together, but they are in a bit of a slump right now. They've lost 4 of their last 5 games. They got whooped at home against New Jersey. They lost 7-3 to the Knights, 5-2 to San Jose, 5-2 to the Kings, which is an embarrassment, and they did beat Arizona in overtime. Pittsburgh's basically a pick-em at home. Tampa Bay minus 118. The over and under is 6.5. Tampa Bay zigzagging the last 4 games. They beat San Jose. They lost to Toronto, beat Dallas, and lost to the New York Islanders. My gut feel here, and I'm not going to be playing this game, is that Pittsburgh is the play. Alex, let's start with you.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my gut reaction, too, is to look at Pittsburgh. This is a must-win game for them, because, like you said, coming off of the bye week, they were already looking pretty bad, lost some games to teams they should have beat. But then they played a New Jersey team that they've struggled with for quite some time, even though New Jersey's relatively a bad team. That was a bad matchup for them that this has been for the last couple of seasons. So now they try to get things rolling against the Tampa Bay team that's fresh off of the bye. We're expecting to see teams kind of look a little rusty from this break, but so far that really hasn't been the case. I'd say in the last 2 days we've seen most of these teams kind of come out really sharp, and especially as far as the offensive play goes. So with that being the case, if the Lightning's offense gets any better, I mean, then there's literally not going to be a team in the world that's going to be able to beat them. But I think we're going to see a full effort here from Pittsburgh. Obviously, these are the 2 teams I've been talking about all year with that first period over. There's some shops that are actually posting a 2 at plus 110 or plus 115. I would look to play it as plus at the plus number with 2 rather than 1.5 minus 220, because even if it falls at a 1-1 score after 20 minutes, then it's pushes you getting your money back. You're not going to just take an outright loss if you see a 2.5 or something. So over 2 in the first period, if you can find that, play that. But otherwise, I would look at this might be a game worth playing the draw on as well. I can see this being an overtime game and Pittsburgh winning in OT.
If it is, it could be 3-3. Andrew, the total is 6.5. And look, Pittsburgh, I mean, they need to get on a bit of a roll. They're holding on to the last playoff spot by the skin of their teeth, with both Buffalo and Carolina nipping right at them. That Eastern Conference is so tight, excluding Tampa Bay. Everybody's going to be jockeying for position, and you can be rest assured Toronto needs that second spot. They do not want to be behind Boston and have to get stuck playing Game 7 there. So, Andrew, what are you thinking? You have anything on the total in this game?
Well, I mean, if you're going based off what we've seen so far, I think the extended rest is a great thing. However, throughout an entire matchup, you look at last night with Winnipeg and Boston. Boston pretty much dominated throughout that entire matchup. And then Kyle Connor goes and scores, 2 goals in around less than a minute. Winnipeg catches life, and all of a sudden it's their game from there on out. So I look at this one here, and I think I see a really pissed off Pittsburgh team. I mean, I'm not going to be biased here, Prez, but my man Crosby from Nova Scotia here in the Maritimes, he doesn't usually call out his players. He doesn't really usually talk negative in post-game media conferences and stuff like that. And he did not seem satisfied. He did not seem pleased. He seemed to be pretty upset with the effort his team gave. And I think that you have to bounce back strong. And against a team like Tampa, that's a really run and gun kind of team, the pace is going to be unbelievable in this game. Prez, we're seeing 6.5. We're seeing 7 as well. I would certainly look over the total in this one. Pittsburgh's defense has not looked good, but more importantly, guys, I've talked about this a lot with you guys. Their goaltending. I mean, I've said that it's almost been nice that they've had the whole DeSmith Murray back and forth 1-2 punch, but it's not nice when it's not working out for you. That's for sure. And I think it really proves itself that when Murray's injured for a lot of the time, and it seems like it's every year this is happening, it's not good for a team, and it's not good for a goaltender to not be able to get that. Kind of just to be used to being in nets and having that the kind of the rhythm and this, the routine to say the least. So I think that with guys like Kucherov, guys like Johnson and Point, I think they'll come out really fast here. But Prez, I do agree with you. Just based off what we've seen so far from the whole rest thing, I would lean Pittsburgh here. I would lean Pittsburgh. I think that they come back really strong. I know that they're fourth in the Metropolitan, and that's not too shabby, but they will be better. And I think they're one of those powerhouses in the NHL where they always catch fire around this time. This is when they pick things up. And the best thing about this Pittsburgh team is they have 3 lines. I mean, I talk about it so often, guys. I know I sound repetitive about depth, but to me, it's the most important thing in hockey. It's unlike any other sport where you can't just have a guy like LeBron James in NBA that can really just take over a game. You really can't. You have to have depth. You have to have strong goaltending in hockey, and that's the way it goes. So for me, I would lean Pittsburgh, and I would lean the over. Honestly, if you're gonna take the over, I would just take the 7. Don't take the 6.5. You have to lay some juice. If you can get a decent number, take the 6.5. But this one should be an absolute shootout, and I would go all the way with the over 7.
I agree, Andrew. Their last 7 matchups have gone over 6.5, and some of them very large. Tampa Bay, just went over 6.5 against a slow-moving San Jose. And Pittsburgh, their last 2 games, 6-3, 7-3. And you're talking about how bad their defense is. I mean, they let in 6 goals against New Jersey and 7 against the Knights. The Knights are a good team, but they're not a 7-goal-a-game type of team. So I'm with you 100% on that one. Andrew, let's go to you with the next game. We've got Buffalo going into Dallas. Buffalo just came off of a great win in Columbus, 5-4. They lost to Vancouver 3-4, and they've won 2 of their last 3 road games. This is their 5th road game in a row. They're currently 2-2 on their road trip. And Dallas, minus 175. The over and under here is 5.5, which is very low for a Buffalo game. Dallas just beat Winnipeg 4-2, but have lost 4 of their last 5 games. They're on an extended home trip, though. I like Dallas here in regulation at around even money. And I do lean on the over, but it is tough because Dallas is struggling to score.
I mean, I'll tell you one thing, Prez. I wouldn't be laying the price with it. So, I agree with you as far as the regulation goes. It's always important that we all mention that. You mentioned that Dallas can't really score around 2.57 goals per game this season. Unbelievable, really unbelievable. If it wasn't for their goaltending, which I got to give some credit to, I don't know really where they'd be. And if it wasn't for them being so top heavy with guys like Ben and Sagan, I don't know where they'd be either. But hey, I got to give some credit to Buffalo, guys. I mean, again, with the value we're seeing, the plus money that they have tonight, the effort we saw last night, I mean, the guys that they have right now, I've been impressed. I mean, just taking a look at their lineup here, I mean, with Skinner, Reinhart, and Eichel on that top line, they've got a lot of youth, guys. And to me, obviously, as we all know, youth means speed. Youth means, kind of a little bit, it could be mistakes in the offensive zone, but they're willing to take chances. They're willing to be a little fancy, willing to be a little cute. But one thing about youth, they don't really try too hard to make the fancy play. They get pucks on net. They fire from all angles, and they get up the ice fast. And I think it's important that you have puck-moving defensemen, and that's exactly what you have with this Buffalo team. I mean, how impressed have I been with Darlene? It's unbelievable to see what he's done at his age. This guy's around my age, Prez, and he's doing a hell of a lot better at whatever he's doing than what I'm doing. So
I had no idea they took 16-year-olds in the NHL.
Yeah, exactly. Eh? But to say the least, I actually would lean the over in this one. Again, whenever I see a low total like this one, I always try and tell myself, why shouldn't I take the over? Why not expect it to be a high-scoring game? Again, extended rest, Buffalo with the back-to-back, looking pretty good. I would go over the total in this one, Prez.
He's Andrew McInnis. I'm the Prez. Alex B. Smith with us. Alex, weighed in on this game.
Yeah, you say about Dallas not being able to score consistently. It shouldn't matter in this game based on the stats that starter Ben Bishop has had against Buffalo in his career. 10-0-1 with a 1.61 goals against average and a 940 save percentage. He has owned this team for quite some time. And you look at also even just Dallas, the last 10 meetings against Buffalo, 8-2. So for whatever reason, Buffalo has struggled against this Dallas team throughout the years, and Ben Bishop has had the Sabres number. So that alone, I would definitely be looking at, like I said, not laying that huge of a price. I would be looking at taking the Dallas Stars. I think it's fine. -105 is what I'm looking at on my board in regulation.
Agreed.
You look at the Sabres. One thing to note about the Sabres, though, and moving forward, they are a team that has done fairly well. They're 3-4 in the second of back-to-back games. So they aren't one of those teams that kind of really die off, even if they have.
Well, there are a bunch of Andrew McInnis's on that team. I think
exactly.
I think the whole team is just starting to learn how to shave. They might.
I think Prez has a case of the travel shaving himself. Actually,
I do. Buffalo might be the only team who makes the playoffs, and if they go on an extended run, will still not have playoff beards.
Probably. Yeah, we'll just playoff. Maybe they'll just go with the mustache. Possibly.
Your boys Marner and Matthews as well, eh, Prez?
Marner, I'll tell you something funny about Marner. His parents live two streets away from me, and last summer their house burnt down. It was an unbelievable fire. But Marner, I don't think Marner could grow peach fuzz. So that's how young he looks, and it's interesting. You sit there and you think. Talking about the Leafs, who should they sign? Can they keep both? Now that they've wasted money on Nylander, and if they can't, which one would you keep? It looks like Matthews is priority one, and hopefully he should be signed in the next couple of months. There's a lot of talk that they're getting close. But now we have Muzzin with us, and I think that's a huge pickup, man. Like if you go back, and you'll know this, Alex, being a Chicago Blackhawks fan, if you go back to the early, the Tays, Kane, first, go back further. Go back to Chelios and Smith. They played every second shift. Seabrook and Keith, they played every second shift in the early days. If we can get Morgan Riley and Muzzin playing every second shift in the playoffs, I think they can go toe-to-toe with Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. Like I said, I think you have to have those quality shutdown guys on that blue line. Like I said, that's the one that has been the one Achilles heel for Toronto. So if they've addressed that, even if, and like I said, having those two guys playing a bunch of minutes can make everybody else sharper in those other lines, and that's going to be a huge pickup overall.
Yeah,
And Prez, the way that you and I have bashed on this Kings team, and specifically I've talked about how slow they are, and the fact that they can always be trailing in games. Muzzin enters the Leafs with a plus 10 rating on the year, plus 10 playing for the Kings, and he hops on that. Again, I use this phrase, but the 1-2 punch with Morgan Rielly again just completely adds to the decor. I mean, you got a guy like Hainsey that just completely slides down the depth chart now with. All those guys with Dermott.
I think he'd be a good matchup in on the second line with Gardner. I think he'll give Gardner a little bit of protection.
Well, the fact is, I can't remember honestly. I think is he a left-handed shot or right-handed shot? I was reading an article.
Muzzin's left-handed, I think, but he plays either side.
Right.
But I don't know if the Leafs are done, boys. Carolina is loaded with defense right now. They're dying for a forward. I will not be blown away if Nylander ends up a sign and trade. We know how good he is. I don't think Carolina will fear his slump right now. And I think I think it's a perfect fit to grab a nice young defenseman off of Carolina for Nylander, freeing up some space to really lock both Marner and Matthews in long term. So I don't know if the Leafs are fully done. But I got to run, boys. Tomorrow's puck time. We'll keep to both of you guys for the rest of the week. So Andrew and Alex tomorrow. The NFL presidential address, everybody, up at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Me, Kelly, and Teddy. We're going to take apart the Super Bowl top to bottom, including a whole bunch of props. Will be a really fun show. And Morning Joe and the Pro will be back tomorrow. Boys, be good. We'll see you tomorrow, and best of luck tonight.
See you guys.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.